Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update from NFL News Now. The Philadelphia Eagles find themselves in a position that feels uncomfortably familiar for a team that prides itself on being one of the NFL's most complete rosters. Just 7 months after veteran defensive end Brandon Graham walked away from the game a two-time Super Bowl champion, the Eagles are knocking on his door once again, asking the 37-year-old to lace up his cleats and give it one more go. It's a desperate measure, but perhaps a necessary one for a defense that has looked completely toothless off the edge. The numbers don't lie. The Eagles rank 39th in the league in sack percentage, producing pressure on just 4.3% of opponent dropbacks and sitting 26th overall in total sacks with only 11 on the year. For a franchise that just 2 seasons ago terrorized quarterbacks on its way to a Super Bowl appearance, that's not just a regression, it's an outright collapse. Let's be real here. The Eagles' edge rush situation is a mess. Through 7 games, the entire group has managed a mere 3.5 sacks. That's not a typo. Not one player on the defensive line has reached even 2 sacks. Zadarius Smith, who briefly led the unit with 1.5, abruptly retired last week after just 5 games in Midnight Green. Josh Uche and Patrick Johnson have 1 apiece. That's it. That's the full stat sheet for the position. The rest? Injured or invisible. Nolan Smith and Ogbo Okoronkwo are both on injured reserve with triceps injuries. Okoronkwo already ruled out for the rest of the season, and Azeez Ojulari limped out of Sunday's win over the Vikings with a hamstring tweak. The Eagles are now down to 3 healthy edge rushers: Uche, Johnson, and rookie Jalix Hunt. That's not depth. That's survival mode. So, of course, the conversation shifts to Graham. If there's one man who embodies what it means to be an Eagle, it's him. The hero of Super Bowl 52, the heart and soul of the defense, and a leader who's seen every high and low this franchise has endured in the past decade and a half. But sentimentality and leadership can only take you so far in today's NFL. The question hanging over this reunion isn't whether Graham can inspire the locker room. He absolutely can. But whether he can still get off the line with the same explosiveness, still shed blocks, still chase down the Mahomeses and Allens of the league. The honest answer? Nobody knows. Let's not forget, Graham didn't exactly retire at the top of his game. His last season was marred by injury, including a torn triceps suffered in November, the same injury he gutted through during Super Bowl 59. The guy's a warrior, no doubt, but he's also 37 and coming off multiple serious injuries. There's no way he can be expected to step in and immediately transform the Eagles' pass rush into the force it once was. That's not fair to him, and it's not realistic for the team. What Graham can do, however, is give the Eagles something they sorely lack right now: presence. Veteran presence in the locker room. A voice that demands accountability. A mentor for younger players like Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt, and maybe, just maybe, a spark of energy when he lines up on 3rd down at Lincoln Financial Field. It's symbolic that Zadarius Smith's locker, vacant after his brief and disappointing stint, is the same one Graham would occupy upon his return. That's the role the Eagles want him to play now: the mentor, the leader, the steady hand when the ship starts to shake. As Jalen Hurts said with a grin after the team's most recent win over the Vikings, his locker will be ready. You could feel the respect in that comment, the kind of quiet admiration that comes from knowing a player like Graham has been the glue holding this team together for years. But leadership alone won't fix the cracks in this pass rush. The Eagles can plug the emotional hole with Graham's return, but the structural damage goes much deeper. If we're being honest, this is not a one-player-away situation. Even if Graham returns, even if he manages to contribute in a rotational role, the Eagles still need serious reinforcements. The trade deadline looms, and Howie Roseman has never been shy about making a move when his team's window is open. And make no mistake, the window is open right now. Philadelphia still boasts one of the league's most talented rosters, and with 10 draft picks in the 2026 NFL Draft, including 5 in the first 3 rounds, they have the ammunition to go shopping for elite talent. The question is, who's available, and who's worth the price? The name that immediately jumps to the top of the list is Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a proven commodity, a relentless pass rusher who's posted back-to-back 17-sack seasons and currently boasts a 14.5% pressure rate with 4 sacks on the year. Hendrickson is the kind of player who could transform the entire dynamic of Philadelphia's front seven overnight. Pair him with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis inside, and suddenly offensive lines would be in panic mode again. But the Bengals aren't exactly in sell mode, at least not yet. Unless Cincinnati decides to wave the white flag on their season, the Eagles would need to come with a monster offer, something like a second-round pick or better. If Hendrickson isn't on the table, there's still Miami. The Dolphins have been sliding, and it's no secret that they're open for business at the deadline. Two names stand out: Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Phillips, still on his rookie deal, has quietly put together an efficient season despite the chaos in Miami. A 16.7% pressure rate, 22 total pressures, and a familiarity with Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio from their time together last season make him an intriguing fit. He's young, explosive, and would slide seamlessly into Fangio's system. Then there's Chubb, a bit older, more expensive, but battle-tested. His contract is hefty, with 2 years and over $60 million still owed, but he's a difference-maker when healthy. Under Fangio in Denver, Chubb was a monster, tallying 11 sacks and 70 pressures in a single season. Bringing him to Philadelphia would give the Eagles exactly what they're missing: a veteran pass rusher who can still dominate one-on-one matchups. And it's not just about sacks. The Eagles need someone who can collapse the pocket, force quarterbacks off their spots, and create chaos on early downs. Too often this season, opposing passers have had all day to throw, picking apart the secondary and neutralizing Fangio's scheme. You can have all the talent in the world on the back end, but if the front four can't win their battles, it doesn't matter. That's the harsh reality of the modern NFL. Pressure dictates everything. So, would the return of Brandon Graham actually fix the Eagles' pass rush? No, but that doesn't mean it's a bad move. In fact, it's a smart one. It's a low-risk, high-character addition that can stabilize the locker room while the front office works the phones for a bigger move. Graham's presence gives the defense an emotional jolt, something intangible but very real in a locker room that's been through adversity before. It also buys time. Time for Nolan Smith to recover, time for Roseman to find the right trade partner, and time for Fangio to adjust his system to the personnel he actually has. If Graham does return, expect his role to be limited. Maybe 15 to 20 snaps a game, mostly in rotation, keeping him fresh for key third down situations or goal line packages. That's all the Eagles need from him right now. He doesn't have to be the guy he was in 2017. He just has to be a steadying force, a bridge between what the Eagles were and what they're trying to be again. And for Graham, it's a fitting final chapter. Walking away after a Super Bowl win is poetic, sure, but coming back when your team needs you most? That's legacy defining. That's loyalty. In the end, the Eagles' season may hinge on whether Roseman can find a way to fix the pass rush before it's too late. This defense was built to play with a lead, to pin its ears back and hunt quarterbacks. Without that edge pressure, the whole structure starts to wobble. The offense can put up points. Hurts can make magic with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But if the defense can't get off the field on third down, it won't matter come January. So yes, welcome back, Brandon Graham. Philadelphia loves you. But Howie, get on the phone. This team needs more than nostalgia to chase another ring. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. It's one of those weeks in the NFL that makes fans slam their coffee cups on the table, shake their heads in disbelief, and start questioning every front office decision made in the last decade. The league that prides itself on order, discipline, and the illusion of a carefully orchestrated balance is in absolute chaos. And the epicenter of this storm is none other than three of the most storied franchises in the NFC East: the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys. Officially, the rumor mill is buzzing louder than a championship parade, and insiders who normally tiptoe around sensitive information are suddenly dropping breadcrumbs that suggest betrayal, backstabbing, and boardroom warfare on a scale rarely seen in modern football. The week began like any other, with training camps still simmering, players rehabbing injuries, coaches scribbling playbooks, and front offices pretending to be calm and collected in front of the cameras. Yet beneath the surface, tension had been brewing for weeks, and what unfolded over the past 7 days is nothing short of headline-grabbing madness. According to multiple sources who have historically been accurate but prefer to remain unnamed, the Commanders were caught in a maneuver that some are calling unthinkable by orchestrating moves behind the backs of their divisional rivals. Specifics are murky, but whispers of secret meetings with key Eagles personnel, attempted poaching of talent, and strategic leaks to the press paint a picture of a franchise willing to cross lines that most would consider sacrosanct. Imagine for a moment the vibe in Washington. Executives pacing the halls, calls being made in hushed tones, and agents receiving texts that read like clandestine intelligence communiques. By midweek, the story had already metastasized. Word got out to Philadelphia, where Eagles management reportedly exploded in meetings that lasted hours, doors slammed, phones dropped, and accusations were hurled like confetti at a playoff celebration. Insiders claim that the Eagles' front office felt personally blindsided, convinced that the Commanders' intentions were not just strategic, but deeply personal. Then there's Dallas. Oh, Dallas. The Cowboys, who pride themselves on a veneer of stoicism and meticulous planning, were reportedly caught in the crossfire in ways no one could have predicted. Sources suggest that some high-profile agents were in contact with Cowboys personnel under the radar, discussing potential free agent signings and trade talks that were never meant to leave closed-door negotiations. The result? A triple threat of confusion, mistrust, and mounting paranoia that turned the division into what some are calling a three-ring circus of intrigue. Adding fuel to the fire, there are rumors that at least one star player from each team received conflicting offers or messaging in the past week, leaving them bewildered about where their loyalty should lie. Imagine being a player, trying to focus on drills, film sessions, and Sunday preparations while receiving cryptic texts hinting that someone across the street, or just a few miles down the highway, is plotting to lure you away. It's the stuff that soap operas are made of. Yet here we are, living it in real time, in the very stadiums where fans cheer for touchdowns and not corporate espionage. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Insiders suggest that the league office has quietly reached out to all three teams to assess the situation, a move that has only added more fuel to the speculative fire. When the NFL starts calling, it usually means someone is about to get a stern warning, or worse, face repercussions that could shake a franchise to its core. And while no official statements have been released, the players have not been immune to the ripple effects. Locker rooms are reportedly tense, with veteran leaders attempting to calm nerves while younger stars speculate wildly about who's trustworthy, who's in on the plan, and who's potentially double-crossing their own organization. Social media is aflame, of course, with fans dissecting every possible hint, meme, and tweet, often connecting dots that may or may not exist. But that's the magic of this kind of turmoil. Perception often becomes reality faster than the league can issue clarifications. Rumors of secret draft strategies being sabotaged, clandestine visits by scouts from other teams, and even alleged whispers about coaches being tempted to jump ship are circulating at dizzying speeds. One source hinted that a certain offensive coordinator in Philadelphia has been approached with very tempting offers elsewhere, though no confirmation has come from the team itself. Meanwhile, in Dallas, whispers suggest that the front office is so rattled that certain internal meetings have been conducted in complete secrecy, with only a handful of trusted executives present, further feeding the narrative that the division is teetering on the edge of internal collapse. And if all that weren't enough, there are murmurings of potential retaliation moves, with one team allegedly plotting to outmaneuver the others in a way that could have long-term implications for draft picks, salary cap maneuvering, and even the next coaching cycle. It's a tangled web of intrigue, a perfect storm where each franchise is simultaneously plotting, counterplotting, and questioning the motives of everyone else around them. Analysts on various sports shows have been speculating endlessly, and while most admit that the full truth is likely locked behind closed doors, the signs of chaos are impossible to ignore. Some believe this week will be remembered as one of the most dramatic in modern NFC East history, a moment where rivalry, ambition, and sheer audacity collided in a spectacle that goes far beyond what fans see on Sundays. Whether it's true betrayal, exaggerated storytelling, or just the natural tension of a hyper-competitive division, one thing is certain. The Commanders, Eagles, and Cowboys are in a state of flux that could redefine the power dynamics of the entire league. For fans, it's exhilarating, terrifying, and utterly addictive. Rumors continue to swirl about potential trades that could shake rosters, secret negotiations with high-profile free agents, and even whispers about coaches being approached to switch allegiances, all within the span of a single week. And yet, in true NFL fashion, the public face of each franchise remains. Carefully curated, press conferences with smiles and diplomatic phrasing, carefully worded social media posts, and the ever-present assurance that everything is under control. But anyone paying close attention knows better. Behind those polished statements lies a maelstrom of distrust, competition, and raw ambition, a story so juicy that it's practically begging for a documentary series. By the end of the week, even casual fans were sensing that something unprecedented had unfolded. From cryptic hints in post-practice interviews to subtle movements in front offices, the breadcrumbs are everywhere, and the narrative only grows more compelling with each passing hour. Rumors of insider deals, potential player defections, and even unconfirmed threats of sabotage circulate in forums, podcasts, and sports bars, creating a sense of immediacy that few weeks in NFL history can rival. In many ways, the situation is a microcosm of the high-stakes, high-drama environment that defines professional football, but taken to an extreme. It's not just about XS and OS anymore. It's about loyalty, strategy, and the kind of brinkmanship that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of three storied franchises. For those who love football, it's impossible to look away. Every day brings new whispers, new claims, and new pieces of the puzzle, all pointing to a week in the NFC East that will be talked about for years. Whether it results in trades, firings, signings, or just an epic story of what could have been, the chaos is undeniable. And as the weekend approaches, the anticipation is almost unbearable. Fans are refreshing their feeds, analysts are digging for clues, and the teams themselves are likely holding their breath, hoping that the next move doesn't tip the delicate balance of betrayal and opportunity that has consumed them. One thing is clear: the Commanders, Eagles, and Cowboys have entered a period where no handshake, no press release, and no friendly conversation can be taken at face value. The league is watching, the media is watching, and, most importantly, the fans are watching, riveted by a narrative that reads like espionage rather than sports. It's official, unofficially. The NFC East is a powder keg, and this week has proven that even the closest rivals are capable of shocking moves, secret betrayals, and a level of chaos that few outside the locker rooms could have predicted. In the end, the story continues to evolve by the hour, and one can only imagine what next week will bring. Trades, firings, sudden resignations, and surprise signings could all be lurking just beyond the horizon, ready to rewrite the history books and redefine what it means to be a fan of the Commanders, Eagles, or Cowboys. If this week has taught us anything, it's that in the world of professional football, the game off the field can be just as dramatic, if not more so, than the one played under stadium lights, and that sometimes loyalty, strategy, and chaos collide in ways that leave everyone, players, coaches, and fans alike, utterly spellbound. The rumor mill has never been hotter, the speculation never more intense, and the reality never more uncertain. One thing is for sure: the NFC East will never be the same again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.